And we are live. I mean, that's what it says. So it must be
Hi.
Friday. It's Friday. Oh my gosh. I feel like I've been away for so long. Has it really been just only 2 weeks? How many days are we away from Eat Denver?
Five,
Woo!
4,
Oh my gosh. It's so exciting. It's so exciting. Well,
4, really. 4, actually.
I wish I was like even better at math so I could like count down the hours like in my mind, you know what I mean? Have my mind like a clicking clock, like a transient labs image that's constantly changing in alignment with a 24-hour clock.
I
It's
could
kind of
probably pull up the calculator.
I need to know hour by hour. Well, we are almost there. We are in the pre-honeymoon phase of ETH Denver 2025. My name is Maximilian. I am here today with my friend, my sister, my wizard sister, my sorceress sister, my witchy sister, my artist sister, creatress. That's creatress of creatress.art. And we are super excited to bring you only the hottest tea of the century. I don't oversell, just you wait. You're going to see what I'm talking about. But before I continue, let me pass the mic over to my friend Creatress so she can introduce herself. Creatress, take it away.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate you having me today on your show. Yes, for anyone who hasn't met me yet, I'm creatress, Sara E. Mora. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and I'm most known for my immersive virtual mixed reality performances, where I do 3D sculptures live in front of an audience, and I let the audience see my first person view from VR. So, really bringing people into a different reality, so to speak, and seeing how I create art within it. And I've been in Web3 for, I mean, since 2017. Came in through the coin side and then learned about NFTs in 2021 on Clubhouse. And yeah, fast forward, here we are. And I met Maximilian along this journey. So yeah, it's been really fun to grow up and learn more and more together about art and about blockchain tech. Yeah, that's all I got right now.
I did not realize that you entered the space in 2017. So I entered the space in 2021, and I'm an OG. So you must be an OGG.
You're hilarious. But there was no, I wasn't like in so much. Like I just bought some and I was following like it a little bit, but I just, yeah, I didn't go full in until 21.
Right on. Well, here we are in crypto land, and it couldn't be more exciting. For friends who are just joining us, my name is Maximilian. I've been putting art on the blockchain since 2021. My good friends say I'm an OG. That's so kind. That's so kind because there's so many people that were here even before me, but I'll take it. I'll take it. I've been putting music and art on the blockchain. We've got art on all the chains. We're blockchain agnostic. I like to say blockchains are like people. They each have their own unique superpower. And as we go on in time, I really do think we'll see more and more, blockchains. Someone asked me one time in a space, actually, they ask me often. I try to come up with a different answer every time, but my favorite answers to date still, when people say, what do you see as the future of blockchain? I say, I see a future where every individual person has their own blockchain. I I see that as a thing. Imagine, just imagine. But anyway, let I divert. But it's really exciting times. Here we are coming to the Eat Denver conference. It's happening starting February 23rd. Some of our friends are going to be there, like Fiona Abood. I know that she's joined the Biddle camp. And there are some other camps as well. Like there's the Maker camp where I'm very excited. So here's some of that juicy tea that I promise to spill all over the place. So, Creatress, I'm really excited that at ETH Denver, I'm going to have the opportunity. I signed up for the Maker Camp. And when you sign up for the Maker Camp, you also can request or suggest that you be given a slot to share a project of your own. And so I'm really excited to announce that I've been selected and I've been given some slots to share my project called Veil. And I'm really excited about it.
Yay! Amazing. So Vale is coming to East Denver, y'all.
Vail is coming to Eat Denver, and it's really exciting because so Vail is it's like a it's like a collab uncollab. It's the quiet collab. It's a kind of collaboration that can only happen because some of my other people did something cool first. So like our friend Patrick Amadon created something called Chimera, which is a protocol that allows us to embed media within an image. And I was also inspired by our friend GodCloud. So like if you've been following our friend GodCloud, if you follow his TikTok, you know he's like all over the conspiracy theory stuff because a lot of those theories are more than just theories. A lot of those theories are really conspiracies, as we're finding out, right? So I mean, just imagine like Bob's your uncle, right? Bob is like, I've been telling everyone aliens are real for centuries, right? Now we've got receipts. So in this same way, some of the conspiracies are true, and it's like, I think we're getting to a place where people are more blatant about what they do and don't want to promote as a part of history. We're getting to a place where people are creating histories that didn't happen in this time space reality. But what's interesting about that is that now I'm about to take it onto the wizard level, but there is this theory, there is this many schools of thought which do say that all possibilities are happening at the same time, right? So what I think is really interesting is when people use AI to like make videos or create things that didn't really necessarily happen in our 3D reality. Some might say, well, if you imagine it, that's a dimension. Your imagination is a dimension in which that thing you're thinking of is happening. And so some people say that there's a truth in that. If you can conceive it, then it's happening, and so on. It's a pretty interesting time that we're living in. But I say all this to say that we're in a time where people are creating histories and deleting them as well. You have people who are, removing from um, memorials, people and places. They're taking down statues, etc. And you know what? Some people might feel like it's time, but for those histories that we do care to preserve, for those books, I mean, think of like all the books that maybe were banned or and could get banned going forward, right? Or think about personal stories, even like media documentaries, films can get banned. Art also can become banned as well. So
Right.
right now, as humanity, as a culture, we are 100% dependent upon the government to be the maintainers of the culture of humanity. We are depending upon museums to keep all the art safe and air conditioned and to protect it and not let people sneeze on it and throw soup on it and stuff. They're not doing a great job sometimes, but they try, right? But what if they decide to stop doing that, right? I'm saying maybe it's time for the privatization of the preservation of human treasures, art, books, literature, media, this podcast, radio shows. Yes, it's true. People and ideas do change over time. And this is part of like our growth as a people, as a civilization. It's important to be able to look back to attitudes, like old attitudes, right? Look back to like the 1950s or the 1700s or the 1800s or whatever, when things are documented, the newspapers, the articles of the day, the lifestyle magazines, the personal journals, all of these things, they speak to the culture, the zeitgeist of that moment. And it's how we learn, not what to do, sometimes what not to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's those tangential uh, documents like journals and women's magazines that we can fill in to help us understand what was happening for the people who were alive at that time. There's a difference between the history of the lives of people and historical events. We don't want to be in a world where the only historic history that exists are the historical events that have been selected, sanctioned, and sanitized by the government. And
100%.
yeah, so I feel like Chimera is really interesting because it's important to collect these documents. It's important to collect, books, uh, banned books, especially if they resonate with you, right? It's important.
Oh, I
It's
think I know where
important.
you're going with this.
It's important to collect these things to be the treasure holder of these things. But you
Right,
know the right, and the problem is that physical things like paper, it's not meant to last. It's only going to last, even if it's in a perfectly air conditioned room and it's in plastic and everything, it can only last for so long. And if there's a fire or a tornado or anything like that, a
right.
volcano, it's over. Digital and decentralized digital assets and digital doppelgangers of documents, of books, of art, these things, if it's decentralized, this is a way that we can preserve the culture of humanity. And every one person doesn't have to preserve culture that doesn't resonate. If as a multicultural woman with purple hair, I don't have to choose to keep alive the history of the Ku Klux Klan. I can choose to keep alive the history of Creole women or other women like myself or
Right.
musicians or purple haired women. I can choose the historical and the artistic movements that matter to me. I can, choose Cubism. I love Cubism. I'm going to collect all the Cubism digital art, whatever, you know. But collecting all these things is great, but taking it to the next level would be to create an index of a collection and embed that index into a work of art. And for the person who then is owning this work of art, that is, I like to say, veiled, you have this unique original work of art done by moi. And then if you tap into the protocol, you'll get an index of all these other files that are available to you. And as the collector, you're not forced to keep or download or cherish any of these files, but you can view to see what's in there without downloading anything. And then you can choose the files that you want to have and own, and you can download them and hold them and have them, and they're yours. So this is my project Veil, and this was the impetus for doing it was just really seeing everything all come together at the same time. God Cloud was like showing me all these really cool documents that he saved, like. Yeah, there's just so many documents that he saved, and when I was looking at them, I was like, "Wow!" But collecting documents isn't that fun. But collecting art is fun. So I'm really excited to be able to share this. So I'm super thrilled.
I love it. It sounds so cool. And what kind of documents are you including in this? Like, can you give me an example of one of the things that's going to be in there?
Yes, I can. In fact, here, let me just pull up this little list
I've
here.
heard Patrick talk about this, about the
Oh, did
tech
you?
before. I saw him in Venice on a
Yeah.
panel, and he was talking about these this technology. And then I remember, not that it wasn't that, it's very recent that he put it out for everybody to use, right? Like, this has to be one of the first people, like, projects that's like implementing it, in my opinion, or that I've heard of. But I do remember it being talked about on the timeline, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, you could just have, you could say so much with, without having to, to have it visible in the art. Yeah, it's like just a really cool concept. So
It
I'm
is.
excited.
Well, okay, so like, let me see this first one. Ooh, oh, there's so many really good ones. Let's see. Oh, let me find it. Um, so for me, so there's a lot of documents that I can choose from. So he's kind of like curating, and then I'm selecting. I'm trying to select works of art to put it to embed that also somehow resonate with the what you're looking at on the outside. Yeah.
That
So
makes
I
sense.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, so I have a list. I haven't paired them all yet. There is a title, but I can't think of it just off the top of my head. I'm sure it's going to come to me. It's going to come to me.
It's all good. I'm just, I'm curious, George. So I always like, I
Yeah,
want to know.
yeah,
I want to know what's in the hidden file.
yeah. Well, that's kind of part of the thrill as well. Like you collect the artwork and then you get to see what's inside.
Got it. Got it. Yes, I
Yeah. But
see.
I mean, like, what we're talking like only grails and I try to keep it interesting. So um, you know, yeah. But I better not try to give any too much away right now.
Okay, okay. No, that's cool. Well, I appreciate what you did share, and that's very cool. And
Yeah.
congratulations on having it, part of the East Denver, programming. I'm
Thank you.
excited to see that be unveiled.
I'm excited too. And so the reason why I bring it up is not only because I get to speak about Veil at East Denver, but because Imaginarium is the art that I am showing in the main room on opening night. And Imaginarium, one of the Imaginarium pieces will be Veil. So I create all these different collections,
Nice.
whether it's a Scelavaggio piece or a Pepavaggio piece or an Imaginarium piece. Something from all of my collections will be in the Veil collection. So Veil is like a collection within collections. So if you like Pepe, you can find the veiled Pepes. If you like the skulls I make, you can find some veiled skulls. So I'm doing the very first veiled piece will be an Imaginarium piece with the beautiful animal. So
Got it. And then other collections will be brought in periodically. I see.
yeah, yeah, I'm very
Very
excited. So I'm trying to right now decide and make a curation, something that has to do with like maybe mystery or the sea or some type of fantasy, um, something that's related to it.
cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited to
Hmm.
see what you decide. There's a lot
Yeah.
there. There's a lot of directions you could take that. Thinking mermaids already, but
Yeah, 100%. So I'm super excited about the opening night, and I'm very excited about our performance. I say our, I will be making videos of the performance. So uh, I'll be getting some footage of Denise as well as she's capturing you. So it's going to be like very meta. But tell us about the
yes.
performance, Creatures.
Oh, it's gonna be so meta. I'll be wearing the Meta Quest Pro headset. Funny enough, we're not sponsored by Meta, but we're not opposed to it. Um, it just has been the headset that I use. It's been the best one so far. I will say I would be open to using the Apple Vision headset, but it does not have Gravity Sketch yet. There's no app. The app hasn't
Uh,
been like released. It's apparently they're working on it. So otherwise, I would be happily over there because that's the program that I like to use, usually the operating system. But anyway, I digress. The performance will be mixed reality. I'll be sculpting as I usually do in front of a live audience, wearing my headset. And the big difference this time is that I'm collaborating with Miss Maximilian, with Denise. These two women are helping um, with the visuals that will make up the worlds that I'm creating my art in. So when I'm in VR, I'm in a studio. I'm in a 3D studio. Imagine kind of like here, right? I'm in this marble pink room. So Denise and Maximilian helped create these environments that I'll be switching through throughout the performance, and I'll be creating art within each environment. Different art, the 3D sculptures are going to reflect that lighting in the environment. They're also going to be made of the material of some of these same environments. If you've never seen it, you just have to see it because even explaining it sounds kind of like, wait, what? But just trust me. Like, imagine if you could take a picture of a sunset and then with that same picture, kind of wrap your car in that picture, or wrap any sculpture in that same image. It's going to be like that. My sculptures and the material of the sculptures is going to be that same image, that same world that I'm in. And so I can't wait for that, first of all, because the sculpture is going to reflect the environment that it's in. And I think that's very telling of us, humans.
Mm,
Like
mm-hmm,
we, right, like
mm-hmm.
the environment in which we find ourselves in is sometimes expressed in our own, in our own like physical or emotional or psychological, manifestation. So I'm really excited
Absolutely.
about that.
Here's
And then we
a
also, yeah,
here's here's a little teaser. It's uploading.
okay,
So I grabbed an image from the show that I created so that people can see what are you talking about?
yes, thank you, perfect.
It,
So
it's
we'll have
uploading.
a
It'll show.
sample here
Yeah,
in just a second.
yeah.
Yeah, so we have about, this is, I believe, is it passion? No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Okay. See, I kind of
Well,
remember some of the
it's like,
names.
oh no, but this is like the one where they're drawn to each other. But it's whatever
Attraction.
you say, attraction, yeah. But I don't
Yes.
know if that was one of the original scenes or just something that I came up with. Um, I don't know if you notice, but like in the waves, right in the center, there are two people swimming toward each other. I don't know if you can when you look in your HDRI next time, I know it's like super small here, but when you look in the HDRI, you'll be able to see that there's people in the distance. This is not the upscaled version, but when you see the upscaled version, right in the center, there's two people, and then there's like a wave like this. So there's like a person, and then there's like a wave, and then there's another person. And I feel like that's how it is with people. You're attracted to someone, but there is like a huge so there's like a wave that you have to swim up, and then you've got to come down into the valley, and they've got to swim up and come down into this giant new kind of basin to explore and be together. But to me, it's like that when I'm meeting a new person. You've got
I
to
like
swim
that.
out. You've
I
got to
like
fucking
that
swim
idea.
out. You got to swim out, right? And it's the ocean. It's so vast. I mean, have you ever like been in the ocean and looked around and you feel so small?
Oh yeah.
And I feel like meeting a new person, you know, someone that you like, right? It can feel like jumping in the ocean. You can feel that vastness. That's definitely what happens to me if I meet someone that I like, you know, in that way. Suddenly the world feels so vast and exciting and there's spacious. That's the word I'm looking for. There's a spaciousness when a new person comes into your life. It's like someone who's special. And I say I experience it. That's how I experience it anyway, as spaciousness, because it's like this new light is coming in through this new person in your life. Their new ideas, their new jokes, all their new colors, the new style of clothing that they wear, all their new friends, the new show you never heard of that they told you about. It's like all of a sudden, every new person that you meet, your world gets bigger and more spacious. That's how it is to me anyway. And so attraction to me is like seeing someone who's still really, really far away, but you know that you're totally going to swim toward that motherfucker. You can't not do it. You know you're going to do it. It's kind of like when you go to the bakery and you never order cookies, but you see that one lemon cookie and you're like, I don't eat cookies, but I'm buying that one.
I think I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean. And I love that. I love that backstory to this, because that is attraction in a way. That perfectly sums it up. And that is the vibe that I got. I was like, oh, these are waves and they're like coming towards each other. And of course there's like the masculine and the feminine, like traditional colors, right? So we see them, and part of our story, in our story there's a protagonist, and there's two, right? And they encounter each other, and they create a family. So like this is part of the story, and this is what Maximilian and Danichi both brought to the collaboration, is helping craft the environments that give, you know, the clues and the feeling and the essence of that part of their of their cycle or their story. You know, the whole thing is about the cycles of life. So yes,
Yeah,
yes.
for
And
sure. And
water's
water. When I
water's
was
part of the life cycle. That's
when
this.
I was updating the HDRI, I was like, oh, when you look, I zoomed in on the guy, right? And I was like, I'm gonna give him a little beard, like so you can, you can. I
Oh
put a
my
little.
gosh.
He has like a little tie, like a little thing like this. Like I want to make it. I mean, it's only visible on the HDRI, so it really made a
I'll take a
huge
look.
difference. Yeah, it made a huge difference. So like for friends who are curious about exactly what am I talking about, so, working with Creatress, I wanted to give her many options, and so, I didn't want to upscale everything. I wanted to only upscale and try to perfect the scenes that I knew she really loved and wanted to use. And so finally, I know, okay, she's definitely going to use this one. And so I went in, I was like drilling in on all the little details, but the details are so tiny, but just knowing that they're there to me, makes all the difference. Plus, yeah, see, there's another one that I created. So I don't know if you actually are using this one in the show, but this was the one that I created for healing initially, because we know crystals can be very healing, and crystals is all about light and how light comes through the crystal and all of these different things. You see there's like this very soft sand. You could just lay right on that sand. You could just tell, right? And you've got the pools. Because this was really a story about two people, two simultaneous lives, I wanted to like always show that I was trying to always show the life of the other person that was happening at the same time. I think it's, really beautiful to explore different textures and ways to tell stories. Because there are some slides that the creators didn't choose, or at least that I know so far for this, because I wanted to also explore like what could it look like. So with like I also made it an attraction where it was like outside, there was like a huge a huge shiny ball. You know I love shiny things, right? So there was like a huge shiny ball, and at first it was outside, but there was an indoor space that was outside, but it didn't have any walls. And so I showed this ball that was like just coming on the edges of this indoor space that was outside, right? And that was another way to show like moving from this vast out exterior space, moving to an interior space, moving into an intimate relationship from from being of the world to moving into a more intimate relationship. I love this one. What
I'm
are you?
just flipping through while you were explaining, and no, and that is the whole point, is to go from in and out, right? The micro and the macro. So I'm happy that you brought that up. I think here we have an idea of what a sculpture might look like I was mentioning. Um,
Mm.
with the textures. So you can see on this one, the pink, that's from one of your HDRIs.
Yeah, I'll pull it up right now. I know
Yeah.
the one.
And I think the white here too. And then in the background, you can see that is the black and white HDRI on like on a sphere, on a couple spheres. That same pattern is what's in the background, the 360 environment that this was taken in. So
Is this the
there's
one?
just, yeah, I think so. Yeah, that looks like it. Yeah.
There's another one too. It could be. Is it this one or is it the one with the white walls and the pink curtains?
Yes.
Okay, okay, let me pull that one. I was like, okay. See, that is.
So we've been having a lot of fun with these. And I'm actually working also on one that has some nounish imagery. So we're going to have one of these scenes will be a tribute to the little nouns. Um, and I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be a way to bring a little bit of a levity, but you're just gonna have to look out for it because none of these HDRIs are gonna be on screen for very long. We made so many that I'm gonna have to we're gonna flip through them like a flip book in a story. So I'm really excited because the whole performance will be live streamed. So if you miss something, you can watch it over and over, and make sure you catch all the little all the little symbolism that we put in there throughout. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. I think that one's the one that's being reflected right here
Mm.
in the
It's
lights.
interesting. Yeah, there's because I was like, is it this one? Or there was another one also that it could have been. It was fun watching because I'm like watching and I'm saying, which one is she using? So this is Passion. I know this is one that you liked.
Yes,
That's coming
yes,
up.
yes. And then the thing about the texture is too that you can edit what part of the image is on your sculpture. So I can literally grab it and kind of like move it around so that like the red shows more or like that green part or you know what I'm saying? You can kind of like move it around. It was just wild. And then you can make it reflective or flat or tune like you can play with the way the material also reflects the light, which I think is really cool. That one.
This
I think
this is
that's
the
the
one.
one.
Yeah, because I recognize this part here, the middle.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
petals here.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is the so here's a great story. So when Creatress the very first time she was talking to me about possibly collaborating on this, when she was talking to me, it was the womb. She was like, the womb. I was like, I have something for the womb. This is what I was thinking of. It was these textures because I was just exploring, how can I bring my shiny machine aesthetic together with organic, human-like, or I shouldn't say human, but just like kind of organic, fleshy, you know, uh, aesthetic. And so this was what I was working with is these like nodes, bringing together the concept of an organism that is both shiny and slick and robotic, kind of like the parasympathetic nervous system, right? Um, you know, I think it's interesting how there's so many different parts of being a human, right? So like there's all these decisions that we're making all the time, like how to speak, what to say, but at the same time, we have this totally other system that's happening that's making the heart beat, making the lungs, be able to breathe and regulating our heat and body temperature. And so, part of my fascination with machines is because I see humans as organic machines. And so I love to always bring these two things together because I feel like if like when I look, there's so many things I see when I look at machines, I go, oh, that's just a copy. That's a copy of something human. We're copying from nature and the body all the time. A lot of our technology is like copies, it um, fiber optics, or like wireless technology that's like the brain's activity, or like I just think it's very interesting how I feel like a lot of times with our technology we're often, it looks to me like we're trying to recreate something that's occurring naturally. And so I like to also bring that the semblance of those concepts. We are part machine. When we talk about machines, I think, and especially if we're talking about robots, a lot of times we're pointing to the ability of this organism to operate automatically without thinking or making new decisions or whatever like that. And there's a lot of what humans do like that too. We can program ourselves in this way. And I feel like knowing that about ourselves as humans can be very empowering. We can tap into the part, that machine part of ourselves, remind ourselves, hey, I too can be reprogrammed, and then really lean into that. Go find, Bruce Lipton, go find Dr. Candace Pert's books, read it, and see what you're inspired to move toward. But that was like my fascination with bringing the organic together with kind of this it's like with this artwork. It's clearly an interior. Again, I'm saying, how can I create the concept of conception, right, of the womb? So this was like my conception for like a womb. But what if a womb was a place? Because it is, right? But what if it was a building? What would it be like? You know? Well, there's not a lot of furniture in there, okay? You
Probably
know,
not.
uh,
No, not much at all.
I mean, you
Just
hope
the
not. You're gonna need some
furniture.
elbow room. You know what I'm saying? So this was a way for me to like explore like what could a womb look like. I didn't want to totally remove the organic elements, but so yeah. So this has been really exciting to attempt to do some storytelling through visuals that are also abstract. I wanted to explore how can I be on the nose but also be abstract at the same time.
I think you did a wonderful job hitting that balance.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that looks amazing. Oh, Creatures, I love your art so much. I love the way that you like I look like I could like fly like a little bee, like right into the heart of that flower. So are you channeling when you're making your art?
I think sometimes. I think sometimes it's just sometimes I have an idea. For this, I had an idea. I wanted to have a flower. It had to have
Yeah,
6 petals, specifically because Danichi was going to use it in an animation, and the petals
yeah.
were going to open and close. So I went in with an idea for this. Um, but then when it was time to take the photo, it was really just I was like, oh, this looks really cool. I want to show Maximilian how her background looks behind this art that I just made that is also using her art as the texture. I think this was one of your textures. Um,
Yeah.
that's really why I made this picture in VR, just to show you, honestly, and it will also to send it to Denise, because then she took this image of the flower and made some more art with it.
Incredible. I'm like, which of the pinks? It's so interesting, to see like the art that I created when you bring it into your environment, how it's transformed.
Yeah, and it's also because, like I said, that the texture can be edited, so it could be like a reflective. It could be flat, solid, shiny, or and then the other thing is you can add an element of color. So say that the initial texture color is pink, I can still take my color picker and turn it green, and so it retains all the
Mm.
elements, but then it's like in a green hue. Um, so your what you sent me, once it gets added as like a texture color on the color wheel, there's a million different things that can change it as well. Um,
Mhm.
so
What about like, so when I use Procreate to paint, right? And also before, like when I've used like just like any art program, but I love Procreate. Um, I often have to create a brush. So how do you handle your brushes? Do you create a unique brush when you do your flowers?
nope, but not on Procreate because I don't really use Procreate. But I've
No,
never
but
made
I
a
mean
brush.
in yours, like when I
Yeah.
watch you, you look like you're using brushes. Are you using brushes when you paint or no?
Kind of, yeah. So in VR, for the sculpting, there's a bunch of different tools, but there's one that's like a pen almost, okay? But it's like a 3D pen. It's really you're making really like a cylinder, like a long
Ah,
bowl, kind of.
is it like when you're making a cake and you got the squishy thing for the
Yes,
frosting?
exactly, exactly. but some of them you could do a flat one, so it's like a ribbon, or you could do like you're saying, like frosting, and it's like a nice like round, long, like snake coil like thing. You could do
Yeah.
either one. So those are a couple of the brushes, right? The different ones, and then you can multiply it. So you can take that same thing and say, I want this to be multiplied 4 times. So when I'm drawing, it's actually 4 lines that I'm making at once, all going in different directions. You know what I'm saying? Or five,
Ooh,
or six, or up. I think you can go up to like 12. And so as you're
that's
drawing one
incredible.
line, it's being repeated 4 times, 12 times. So sometimes I pick that. Um, Sometimes
It
you
feels
could do,
shamanic. It
what's
feels it
that?
feels it feels really shamanic. You know,
Oh, yeah.
when when I'm creating and I do that kind of like any of those kinds of emotions, it gets super shamanic. It's just like it puts me in the zone, and I feel like when I'm doing that, I'm sucked into the channel. I
Yeah,
mean,
I feel that. I feel that, and I've seen some videos back when I'm using that tool specifically, and it looks like one of them specifically looked like a sacred geometry shape. I think it was the Metatron's cube that I didn't even wasn't necessarily trying to draw, but it like came up because I had it in that repeating pattern, and it just was just the right number, I guess, and the right, I don't know. So that does feel a little bit channely, but that was during a performance in which I'm usually very open to receiving the energy from the audience or just that is in the room. So that would make sense. But I don't know if that, I don't think it's like that every time. Like some people might
mhm.
argue that it is, that any idea that any artist picks up and brings to life is channeled in some way or another. And I could get behind that on some level, I think, but I think I definitely go in there with a specific idea before I start. Sometimes, not always, but I'd say it's about half and half.
Even when you have a specific idea,
That idea
this
could have been channeled. I agree. Yes, yes, actually, I was gonna say that. I'm like, I don't know if I'm not even gonna go there. But you went there. Yes, yeah, that is true. The idea could
I
have been channeled. I was just talking about like once I put on the headset, and then it's like
yeah.
start. Like, is it channeled or is it come in with an idea? It could go either way. But you're right. The idea that I had from 5 days ago that I finally came in to create could have been channeled. So like, it's all, it's all. I'm a conduit.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I just feel like it just comes easier the less defined everything has to be going into it. I think it's easier, but to be like very defined on the feeling that we want to have. You know, this is like the best thing that I ever shared is I did this film festival, and I had the great honor to be able to lead a workshop for other film directors and s- performers. And it was the most successful year, everyone told me, because the films were exceptionally good. And the feedback that I got that I heard the most often was everyone loved the way they felt. After
Oh,
every film, people loved the way they felt. Yes. And what's interesting about this is that this film festival took place on an island. So the same people come to the festival every year because they're on a fucking island. Okay. you know? So what was interesting is my workshop, the whole philosophy is this: decide one thing at the outset of your film. How do you want people to feel? That's it. How do you want people to feel? And then work your way from there. But this is the first question and that I asked everyone to answer before. This was like question number one. And some of the answers were really funny because the question was, okay, imagine, and I'm asking you too, creatress, okay? So imagine your performance that's coming up for Lil Eternal Rhythms at Ethereum Denver conference, right? And imagine you are performing. Imagine like how do you want people to feel? And so like during the workshop I said like you can make noises like how do you want people to feel? Put yourself in the position And some of the responses that I got as people were, in real time imagining their film, they're imagining their performance, right? And some people said stuff like, I want people to be like, ah. Or somebody said, I want people to be like, ah. It was really interesting because you could get the kind of film that people were making based on the responses. A lot of people were trying to awaken their audience. They wanted to
Right.
hit them with something impactful. So, Courageous, when you think of how do you want your audience to feel, does anything come up for you? How do you how do you want us to feel?
I want people to be like, holy, what the heck? I've never seen anything like this. Like, whoa, like, whoa, or wow, or like, holy crap, or something else like that. Like something to that effect is my hope to elicit from an audience. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I
It's
see you
almost like
doing it.
disbelief, or like confusion almost, like intrigue,
Awe,
confusion,
AWE,
awe,
awe.
awestruck, dumbstruck. I don't know. One of those, like because there are so many elements to the performance that I think it's impossible that anyone else is doing something like it. I mean, like it, sure, but the same, not a chance. So I guess that's really it. It's just the recognition that you haven't seen this before, because there's no way you could have.
Never seen before, heard before.
That's what we're going
Exciting.
for. That's what we're going for.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, as a person who's seen a little bit of the show, you nailed it, sis. We got Clayjon looking like Brad Pitt on the violin. You know, don't tell him I said that. And you know, we got like we got Adibody on the Native American flute,
Killing
bringing
it.
those vibes. Like he's like bringing all the ancient ancestors are like floating into the space with all their wisdom coming in.
Literally,
You know,
just
like
calling them all in with that flute, dude. It
let me
feels spiritual. I'm just saying.
tell you something that happened in rehearsal the other day. So Adibody's playing the flute, and I'm inside. There's no windows open, and I swear to God, a fucking breeze came through. He played the flute, and just this breeze just came through and blew my hair.
You're like, whoa, wait, what's going on right now? You're like,
It was the magic from Ada's flute. It just made it
wow.
breathe. Like he's the brother is magic, okay? And like we've got Denise, these incredible that black and white room. I just love it so much. Her
It
incredible
looks
clocks,
so good.
and I'm guessing that she made each of those clocks one by one, probably knowing
Yeah,
her.
the
Yeah,
clocks are 3D sculptures in themselves.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's incredible. Yeah, you
she
can
is
really.
she's amazing, and she does all that in Blender. I could not with Blender at all. That's why I do 3D and VR, because the computer controls don't it does not
Mm.
compute with my brain. I'm like, give me a controller, you know give me a Nintendo controller. Not that I really know my way around that either, but like that's just how I learn. I like having things in my hands. I like the physical part more than anything.
Well, it's pretty incredible to see the black and white and then the contrast with your flower. It's amazing. I love the way that her 3D space is like really so spacious, you know. That to me, it's spacious. You can tell spaciousness is definitely a theme for me. Like when I'm looking at things like that spaciousness, it just really um I really literally feel like it opens the channels in my mind. It like widens the channels. I think that's why, I personally love spacious art, so and I love her textures. Do you I'm sh- the sunset is or the sunrise is beautiful too. I feel like I've only seen the sunrise. Is there a sunset?
Oh, yeah, there's a sunset. Let me see if I can pull it in and I'll show you. But there's definitely a sunset. Yeah, she's done it all in Blender. So it took a little bit of time to get
Yeah,
these
that's
rendered, but yeah, I finally got to see all of them and they look really cool. Okay, here's the sunset. I don't know if it'll let me just display it though, because I have it as an HDR.
mm.
Let's see if it lets me upload it here as the background. Yeah, yeah, she did really good on all of these. HDR. Maybe no, it doesn't. It doesn't want the HDR for the background. But let me see if I can take at least a nice little screenshot, which will not do it justice. But you guys will just have to come to the performance to see it full throttle. Here we go. Recents desktop. Here we go. All right, so this is the sunset scene. And this is just right before the sun completely dips over the horizon.
Oh, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Yeah. Like, I just want everyone to understand, like, that Denise made that. It's not a photograph that she took and worked from. She literally made it in Blender. She made the rocks and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is like a 3D sculptural, like a picture of an environment, including 3D sculptures, and that's what you're seeing. That's the mountains. The mountains are essentially 3D sculptures. The grass, and yeah, it's just really all really beautiful work. And I think there will be a time when we go through the process through all of them. Maybe we can have a time when we could just flip through each one, and tell the story a little bit.
I would love to do that. And if we do it on a video,
Of
it would be
course,
cool.
of
Yeah,
course.
I'm saying, like, if we do it on a video, then we'll be able to have the narration and everything. So so you imagine people going, "Wow, fuck." So then this is my follow-up question, okay? What do you want people to do? So you've got us like this. Now what do you want us to do? We're at the show, mouths are open, minds are blown. Where do you want us to go from here? Yeah.
That's a
What
great question. That's a
yeah,
great
what do you want us to do with this great inspiration?
Um, that's a good question. I hadn't even really
Yeah.
considered. I
Yeah.
guess just make sure to just to keep in touch, connect with all the artists that are part of it. If it's something that like was exciting and like awesome to see, just make sure you follow all of us because there might be more. And we will have, we're gonna have to talk about that on our
Well,
on all our
oh,
channels. So that'll, you know what I'm saying? The next thing will be revealed, but you have to follow us to.
so will people be able to collect the artwork that you create on the opening night for your performance, or is it
Yes.
already sold or?
No, we haven't really decided actually about that in particular, but there will be some art and it will be available after the performance. So we're kicking around the idea of inscribing a photograph from the
Mm.
performance, perhaps a small snippet of audio from the performance. Nothing set in stone yet, but if you are at the performance, I mean, of course, you will have that experience along with you could have the experience along with the token that we end up creating. So definitely, you want people to stay in touch, connect with us. We're going to have artist cards. Each of the artists is going to have a personalized card that we can give out, and that'll have our name, our handles, and so a nice little keepsake to take with you. We're going to be giving away a free NFT for the people that are there or the people that tune in to watch the live stream because there's going to be a live stream that has been
Mm.
confirmed. There will be a live stream. And we possibly could stream it on everyone's channels. So Maximilian,
That would be amazing.
I
Y'all
think we
want to
could do
see
that.
this live, right? Right? You want to see it live, right? Ow!
Yep, yep, yep. So we'll be giving away a free NFT, which is an animation by Adabody and Denichi, like a custom animation they made. So that's happening for everybody who tunes in to watch, or whoever comes to the performance and gets a flyer with the screen with this QR code that's been created. But also, yes, the 3D art that I make is going to be an NFT. And whether that's on Bitcoin or if it's on Ethereum is yet to be determined. Um, but at very least, okay, you guys will get a photograph of the performance. I don't know if
Something
we'll be
like
able
that, yeah.
something to like commemorate the moment in the performance. And it won't be a 3D sculpture because that hasn't really been worked out on ordinals completely yet. Maybe by the time I'm done, I will have met someone who can display a 3D GLB on ordinals nicely and not for $1 million. And maybe that's what it'll be. But what I can promise now is there will be some sort of record of the performance, whether it's an audio or an image that will live on the ordinals in as an ordinal on Bitcoin. Um, and the 3D sculpture, you guys will have to wait a little longer because we got to do one thing at a time, but it will be available as a collectible on the blockchain. You just got to wait a little longer for the 3D sculpture. What matters to me more is to immortalize the performance and like as many of our collaborators in that image as possible. So that's kind of what I'm got first in mind.
I love it. I love it. Well, I feel like when you go to see a performance, well, for I'll just speak for myself. When I go to see a performance, I want to keep it alive as long as possible if I enjoyed it. And so I'm looking for something I can take home, and I'm looking for something that I can recall. I want to play it again, Sam. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear the song again. So let's talk about the music. What about the music from Lil Eternal Rhythms? Where does this music come from?
So the music is coming primarily from Out of Body. He is the musical genius behind the audio component to the performance. And so he literally mastered a whole 20-minute soundtrack for the performance. It's actually a couple different tracks that he created, all blend together really beautifully. It's got nature sounds like birds and water, a heartbeat. There's drums, there's some piano, there's of course this flute, and of course there's going to be violin, and there will also be narration in the soundtrack. So it's a full 20-minute, just the audio experience in itself is amazing already. But on top of that, we're going to have live violin and live flute during the actual performance. So the sound, the audio is just going to be amazing.
Absolutely. It is literally like nothing I've ever seen before. And I love watching Ada. I love watching Clejon. I love watching you. So I love watching the screen as well. It's like I'm constantly like kind of looking around. It's just really like when
Yeah.
Creatress and I were talking, I was like, so like Eternal Rhythms. That's like the name of our band. And it's because it's just like when I go see your favorite band. It's like you're watching the drummer, and then you're watching the bass player, and then you're watching the singer, and you're watching the drummer again, and it's just everyone is contributing like this massive amount of energy. And another thing I love is I love watching the people play off each other, so that'd be really fun and to see Ada and Clejon to play off each other as well. So I
Oh
know it's
yeah.
Yeah, that element. So, yeah, exciting times, very exciting. And I know like every performance is different because there are different limitations for every venue. Uh, Ad has a lot of equipment that he could bring. So, in theory, every performance could sound completely different and be a unique experience. You know, I'm not bringing my drums, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, there could, there's just no limit to what's possible with this performance with so much talent.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think, and that's what I like about it. And I didn't even mention, but like we are going to perform a couple different times. And you're right. Ada said he has different sounds. He has like preset on his soundboard, so he can like in the moment, like you're saying. So every performance will be different, just by the nature of even experience. The first time we perform together, we're gonna learn a bunch about how to like all like work and communicate and connect on stage. In real time. And then the second time is going to be totally different because we will have learned so much from the first one. So even if this, not even just the sounds, but just everything all together, I think the energy will be better each time. And yeah, I didn't even think of it as a band, but it's really fun to think about it like that. Like the name of our band. Like I remember the last time I felt like this, it was New York last year with Eunice and Crooks, and it was
Yeah, I
it
like
felt,
that
I was like, oh
band.
my God, I'm in a girl band and this is the best thing ever. And we only
Yeah,
performed once together, which is, like I wish we could have done more, but like, oh my God, that felt so fun. And so yeah, thinking of us as a band is really fun too. Because I've never been, well, actually I was an orchestra now that I think about it. So
that's
I'm
not a
getting
band.
these
No,
feels. So it's not a
orchestra
band.
is no, it's not because you have a conductor and the conductor is in charge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's more like
That's the closest
when
thing
you're
I've
in
been in.
orchestra. Oh, because I'm like when you're in orchestra, that's more like being in the military. There's a boss and everyone knows who it is. Get over there with the brass. Brass is over there. Over there, brass is over there.
First chair, get up. Second chair,
Yeah,
sit down. Anyway, no, yeah, it's just the closest thing I've been in. But yeah, no, it's really fun to think about it that way. And Little Eternal Rhythms. It really, we called it that because that's just the name of the show, the name of the story. This particular experience that we're creating. So we didn't really give it the name to like be a band and become a band. But like for this week, perhaps yes, we're the Lowell Turner Rhythms for purposes of this week of East Denver. And if it works out really well and we work as a band, then maybe we'll continue being the Lowell Turner Rhythms. But I think at that point we might have to just like revisit the
eternal
name.
rhythms. Eternal rhythms. Yeah, because
Right. Right.
none of us is Lil.
Well, me,
We're
I'm
only Lil nouns. We're Lil
physically,
nouns. We're only
physically,
we're Lil nouns, but we're
yeah.
but we're not Lil. Yeah.
Well, I am physically pretty little, but energetically speaking, no. But you know what I mean. So yeah, we'll have to revisit the name, but for now, we'll go with it. For now, we'll go with it, and we'll revisit. We'll see if we extend the contract.
I love it. So let me ask you a question about the performance for people who have never come before. How do you feel about people taking out their phones and stuff? Because every performer has their own like feelings about this. So like when I went to a show and there was the artist and everyone was like so excited because she's a legend. And she spent a long time yelling at everyone to put their phones away. A lot of people were not listening. But some performers, they feel like when your phone is out, you're making content and you're not being present to the experience. And and so I'm just curious, how do you feel about that? When people take out their phone, are you like, yeah, I got him? Or when people take out their phone, are you like, oh no, put it away?
That's a great question. I prefer it. I think people should. I think because this is how I think of it. As as a person, as an artist, when I'm out in the world or I'm out at a show, I don't take out my phone for everything. I take it out when I see something really cool that I want to remember or that I want to capture and show someone else sometime. or if it's one of my friends, sometimes I want to do it just to support, to share. So yeah, I take it as like, oh, this person thinks this is really, it must be interesting, weird, or just crazy enough that they want to like have it stored on their phone, potentially share it, with someone or at some point. So I'm happy when people do that. In terms of like experiencing the whole performance, I would hope, this is my hope. My hope would be that you show up to the performance and you watch without your phone for like at least a couple minutes until you can't stand it anymore. Until you can't stand it not videoing because this is so good. Okay? That's and that's really it. As long as you spend at least a little bit of time seeing it through your eyes, I don't mind if at some point you take out your phone and just see it through your phone for a little while, but just make sure you like, the ideal situation would be watch with your eyes first, and then when it gets to a point where you're like, this is so good, I need to record, and then record it. Or live stream. Like if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I wonder if she minds me live, yeah, live stream it from your place, please. Like, I don't know all your audience. And that's really the game with art, is just reaching more eyes. So please go for it, y'all. Don't. I will never tell people to put their phones away, unless maybe like if I do a performance in a movie theater or something, and at that point might be like, all right,
Mm.
try to just video in the first 10 minutes, and then put away so people can really like get in, But that's the only real time, I think. Otherwise, like, that's just how we communicate. That's how we record our lives.
It's interesting about that, because it's definitely like the culture, pulling out your phone. I definitely understand what you're saying. That's like, you got them, got them. If they take out their phone, got them, right? um, but hmm, I think the environment does matter a lot. One thing I notice is like when people are standing up and they're got their phone way up like this, and like they're literally putting their phone, but the person behind them, now your phone is in their face.
Oh yeah, for sure. Have to be aware. You have to be aware of the people around you too, for sure. I think that's important.
Yeah, for sure. I think, but I love your idea of giving people like a photo op, you know. One thing that I love to do for my performances is I let people know when the photo op is going to be, right? This is and
Mm,
right, and
yeah.
this comes from me having conversations just like this with you, and I mean, like, creatures. I know you're so super busy, but a lot of my conversations with God Cloud, we get into like the nitpicking of performances, and it's a lot of laughs and it's a lot of jokes and a lot of old stories and stuff. But the reason why we talk and tell those stories is because it's through like revisiting like old gigs, it's through imagining new performances that you come upon the, how can I say, the pain points, right? And when you're not in the pain point, it's like the best time to come up with a solution, right? And so this was one of the solutions that I came up with looking to massage a pain point is at the very top of the performance, like when I introduce myself, and I say, hey, I just want everyone to know, there's going to be a part in the last song I play, and it's going to be a great time for a photo op. I promise you'll know exactly when it's going to be, oh, whatever, whatever. And if you let people know when it's coming, and because maybe you have a special HDRI that's going to be showing when it's time for everyone to take the photo, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, and it's like, I don't do this because I'm trying to be bossy. People are going to take out their phone whenever the fuck they want. I know that.
Right.
You know, I don't like to be told what to do either. Okay. Um, but but I also have an opportunity to make it extra cool for them. So if
Yeah.
I plan ahead of time, okay, I know people want to take photos. Let me make sure that I set the stage for them to get a really good one. I'm going to stand in just this way, and I'm going to do a pose. I'm going to do such and such. So,
I
yeah.
like that
So
idea. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
100%. So everybody, when you come to Eve Denver and you are at the opening night party hosted by Nolcha, sponsored and you're seeing Little Eternal Rhythms, sponsored by Nouns, sponsored in part by Third Planet Studio, sponsored in part by One Love Dow. When you're at the show and you see Creatress on the stage and you see Adibody with the Native American flute, you see Clayjon on the, it's not Brad Pitt, it's Clayjon, the trap violinist. When you see him playing the violin, take out those phones, go ahead and capture that video. And just know that that's what it's all about for us. We're loving it, and we're loving that you're loving it. And if you can get some amazing shots of Creatress's screen, also, it's really interesting because, like, Creatress is one, you're watching her, but you can also watch what she's watching. And so there's so much to capture. And so I hope that when you come to the show, you will definitely like enjoy it. I'm looking forward to hearing like what parts you enjoy the most and let us know. Hopefully, you won't let us know during the performance, but maybe you'll let us know what parts you'd like to see more of, or if there's something that you particularly love. We want to know. So I know, Creatress, you have a lot of creating to do, and you got to skedaddle and skibbity. But if there's anything, if there's anything you want to shout out or say before you take off, holler at us.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you so much for having me. I do want to give a shout out. I have a drop that's ongoing right now. So just do a quick shout out. Let me change my background. Um, this is a group drop I'm part of through the One Love DAO, which Maximilian just mentioned. Um, it's called Agape, and it's all about agape love. So the type of love that is motherly or brotherly, or just the platonic caring for each other love. That's essentially what we all created art to embody. So there is 20 artworks in each token. So you buy one token, you get all 20 artworks in the collection, and there's only 14 tokens total. This is a new, really cool token by Transient Labs, ERC 7160. And yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to the One Love DAO and Jenny Pepin, who is the leader. She's created many opportunities for the DAO, and this is her curation, and it's been
Yeah.
done beautifully. So yeah, that's all I've got. And of course, also shout out to my down below. You can see the Sacred Geo Machines, which is my Ordinals open edition. That's going on right now. And it was funny because you mentioned humans being like, you know, what was it? Biological
Organic,
machines,
organic machines.
organic machines, and that's
Mhm.
kind of the idea with this, what the
Get
title.
out! Get out of here!
Sacred geo machines, because I was seeing sacred geometry, but then also like geometric machines in a way. I don't know. I don't know how I thought of this, but that, yeah. So when you were mentioning about that and humans being like machines, I was like, yeah, we're like,
Yeah,
um,
we
like
are. We're
biological.
squishy machines. We're squishy machines. We're
Mhm.
squishy, juicy, slippery
Very well oiled.
machines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to highlight something that I think is really cool. Shout out to Big Comic. Big Comic has done something really cool with the
Oh
Agape
yeah.
drop too. So,
Hmm.
do you want to mention?
Yeah, so Big Comic Art heard about Agape happening from Jennifer. She told him all about it, and he loved the concept, and he said he would love to join and be part of it. So he offered one of his most iconic artworks, and it was part of the exhibition. And he also offered to split the sale among all of the artists that are part of the collection. So, and this artwork is just, it looks really, really cool. Big Comic Art is also one of like an OG in Bitcoin and just blockchain history. So yeah, that was really, really cool. That made the whole thing even more iconic. And Yeah, I believe he was there in person because there was actually an exhibition and an opening event on Valentine's Day in Miami. So there's pictures
Oh,
online as well of that, and yeah, I'm honored to showing in in an exhibition with him. I got to meet him thanks to you, Maximilian. You introduced us at People's Party, so it was like kind of full circle. I was like, wait, Big Shot. I'm like, I have a picture of him with his art and like his, you
that's
know,
right.
he had art in a
That's right.
suitcase that he showed people. Yeah,
That's
so it
right.
was, yeah, it was really cool that he did this.
Y- Yeah, it was my great pleasure to introduce big comic art to people. I mean, like that's like my life flex. I got to introduce this one favorite artist friend to another person who I think is amazing. But it was really fun to see him share his art. And big comic art is also my collector as well. And he is the owner of one of my interactive works, one of my Pepe works. So it really means a lot to me when people collect my artwork. So I want to give a shout out to Big Comic, an icon and a legend. His work is also so very fun.
Yes,
And and that's one of the things that I notice about him is like the fun. He's a fun person. And I feel like art should be fun. It can be serious too, but when art draws the fun out of us, that's something special. So shout out to Big Comic and his big agape love. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. It's been really wonderful to see you, Creatress, and looking
thank you.
forward to, yeah, looking forward to our performance at Eat Denver and all of the things to come. Everyone, it's been great to see you. You'll probably see me later on today. I'll be back showing off some of my other works coming up at Eat Denver. But for now, I'll see you later. Take care.